Picture, if you will, an office perched on the top floor of the stately Harvard Museum, a room claimed by millions of ant specimens. An elderly man in his 90s, his back slightly stooped with age, holds a magnifying glass, watching with bated breath a single ant no more than a few millimeters long. His right eye was lost entirely to a childhood fishing accident, his left is clouded by cataracts. Yet, strangely, within this blur and brokenness, he perceived a cosmic order that the most brilliant minds of humanity had failed to discern. He was Yo Wilson, hailed as the modern-day Darwin, and the man who understood ants better than anyone else on this planet. Tonight, by the soft flicker of the hearth, let us journey through his true life with this story, one you need not labor to remember. He was a prodigy who looked through a single eye to see the full spectrum of life, a courageous pioneer who proposed sociobiology, only to be met with the cold shoulders of his peers. Behind his elegant, jade-smooth natural history prose lies a philosophy of profound humility and deep unification. In the quiet of the night, let us slowly unveil the mystery of this ant guardian's fate, a destiny as fragrant as the earth and as vast as the starry sky. Wilson's life trajectory seemed predestined on a sweltering Alabama afternoon when he was only 7. In the coastal thickets, young Edward was mesmerized by a jellyfish. In his intense focus, he pulled his fishing line too hard, and a sharp fin pierced his right eye. The loss of sight should have been a tragedy, but for Wilson, it became a shaft of light carved out by God after a window had been closed. Unable to see distant birds or grand vistas, he was forced to concentrate his entire world within a few centimeters of his feet. He began to crouch by the damp earth, observing the tiny souls that others ignored. Within those minuscule, scuttling shadows, he discovered an empire of rigorous logic and precise division of labor, the world of ants. This enforced microscopic perspective forged in him a unique aesthetic, a sense of focus that found the sublime within the small. While his peers pursued speed and power, he was in the silent woods, learning how to hold an equal dialogue with an army ant. This solitary, almost Zen-like childhood discipline became the sturdiest, most vital cornerstone for the grand theoretical systems he would later construct. In the 1950s, Wilson arrived at Harvard with trunks full of ant specimens, only to find the scientific community undergoing a cold revolution. The rise of molecular biology had made traditional natural history seem obsolete and lowly. People were more interested in manipulating DNA in test tubes than counting ants in the forest. During those years of neglect, Wilson maintained an extraordinarily serene perseverance. He was like a master watchmaker who deliberately slowed his pace in a world spinning too fast. He proposed island biogeography, using mathematical models to predict the flourish and extinction of species, proving that even the most remote desert island follows the seamless rhythms of life. He discovered that ants do not communicate through language, but through a marvelous chemical substance, pheromones. In that laboratory illuminated by the glow of microscopes, he became an interpreter, attempting to translate the secret codes of insects into human understanding. This obsession with the details of the physical world allowed him to retain an undisturbed wilderness within his heart, even while dwelling in the competitive halls of the ivory tower. Yet, even the mild-mannered naturalist faced the raging storms of his era, a violent upheaval regarding the boundaries of human nature. In 1975, Wilson published the world-shaking Sociobiology, boldly proposing that all human altruism, sacrifice, and even morality could find their prototypes in genetic evolution. This view ignited massive controversy. People could not accept that their noble souls shared the same logic as the instincts of an ant. During one lecture, a protester rushed the stage and emptied a pitcher of ice water over the elderly scientist's head. Facing this extreme humiliation, Wilson simply wiped the water from his face and calmly finished his presentation. He showed no anger, no retaliation. Instead, in that cool tranquility, he felt a deep sense of compassion. He realized that people fear the truth because they have not yet learned the humility of the naturalist, to accept oneself as a mere part of nature. Under this ultimate pressure, he became even more prolific, exploring biophilia, and the idea that our love for nature is an instinct woven into our very marrow. In his later years, though showered with countless honors and medals, Wilson's heart drew ever closer to the profound center of nature. He became more and more like the creatures he wrote about, quiet, focused, and possessed of immense endurance. In that room cluttered with manuscripts and magnifying glasses, he launched his final and grandest initiative, the Half-Earth Project. He called for humanity to set aside half the planet's surface for other species, giving the silently vanishing tiny miracles a chance to breathe. Late at night, he wrote letters to young people across the world, telling them that natural history is not for conquest, but for love. This acceptance and reconciliation with fate gave his late-life prose a quality of near-transparent nobility. He was like a courier of intellect, striving in the fading light of his life to ignite the lanterns for the next generation of observers. In December 2021, Yo Wilson peacefully closed his eyes at his home in Massachusetts at the age of 92. The true legacy he left behind is that magnificent vision, reverence for life. He answered the question posed in the prologue. The exit for the human soul lies not in escaping the earth, but in reintegrating into the interconnected soil of all things. Our story for tonight has concluded. I hope the vastness of this ant watcher brings you some measure of solace in the deep of the night. Now, release all your anxieties. Let your thoughts, like the worker ants in Wilson's prose, return rhythmically to that warm and safe nest. In that green dreamscape, free of strife and noise, you will find that you too are a steady and indispensable thread in this grand web of life. Good night.